Hello everyone and welcome to this week's Year 4 homework review video for Block 3, Week 5. This is obviously the maths block and we'll be finishing off the Week 5 maths homework. So looking at here you can see we've got a couple of tests inside the mental maths book starting on page 24 and working all the way through to page 26. And then we'll be looking at the times tables CGP maths book doing workouts 1 through 3. And these are on pages 50 to 55. Remember with these it does say 1 through 3 a couple of times, so that's because you've got like these different seasons, and so really it's the page 50 to 55 that's the important bit to focus on, as you don't want to be doing the wrong section. So starting off, let's run through test 20 that's using this mental maths book here. So to begin with, we've got 0.1 equals a tenth, 0.5 equals a half, so what would 0.7 equal? And the answer is 7 tenths. But what I would say is, since the question mark is only where the 7 is supposed to be, I would actually write down 7 as my answer. But I think if you've written 7 tenths, that's quite logical, and that does make sense to me as well. What fraction of a week is 1 day? Well, it is 1 out of 7, so 1/7. Which is the 10th month of the year? Really important, you know your months of the year, and also actually the days within the months of the year. But in this case, the 10th month is October. Subtract 18 from 3/16. Well, that first off means you've got to do 3 times 16. And then only once you've done 3 times 16 can you subtract the 18 away from it. And 3/16 equals to 16 plus 16, which is 32, plus 16 again, which is 48. So we do 48 minus 18. That gets us back down to 30, which is our answer here. What's the number at x? Well, for this one you need to consider the gap, so I can see I've got a gap of what looks to me like 20 because I'm going from 2990 to 3010, so 2990 to 3010, also going from 90 to some number of 10, that's a gap of 20, and so I now know that this middle number here is probably going to be 3000. And so now I can look at the difference between here, and if you look, there are 10 jumps between 3000 and 3010, so I want 2 jumps over, so it's going to be 3002. Jar of coffee holds enough for 36 cups. It's 1/4 full, therefore how many cups of coffee can be made? Well, this means we've got a quarter of 36, and the way we do a quarter of any amount is to divide by 4. So 36 divided by 4 is 9. Are there angles inside a square? Acute, right angles, or obtuse? And they are right angles, and that's often why you'll see in the corner of squares they draw this little well, essentially it's a square again, isn't it? Little squares in the corner to represent the right angles. Write 1,505 in figures. Well, there you go, 1,505. For this one, 200 take away 8 times 25. Using our BIDMAS rules, we've got to do the 8 times 25 first. We've got to do what's in the brackets. So 8 times 25 is going to be 200. So 200 take away 200 is actually 0. With the tallies, remembering each of these patterns is a set of 5, so you've got 5, 10, 15, 20, plus 4, 24. A normal heartbeat is 72 times in 1 minute, so how many times would it beat in 30 seconds? Well, that's half a minute, so it's going to be half of 72, which is 36. What is the next number? 950, 1000, 1050, well that's going up in 50s each time, so it's going to be 1100. Line up the lines in the magic square, add up to 18. What are the values of A and B? Well, it's actually quite a fun square, and you may have noticed something just right off the bat. It goes 675, 576, 765. So it's got to be some combination of a 6, a 7, and a 5 in order for this particular square to work. So I know that from this middle row, and this is almost like doing a matrices question, which you'll have done in your NVR, I can see that what's missing from this row is a 5 here, and what's missing from this row is a 7 here. And of course, if I then do add those up, this equals 18, this was 18, and perhaps even more importantly, this direction, this row here, so this column here, also adds up to 18. That's a good one to check, because of course it involves 2 of the missing numbers. How many horizontal lines are? Remember, horizontal lines like the horizon, which is the left to right, where you sort of see the sun appearing over the horizon in the mornings. So the horizon is this direction. So you've got 1, 2, 3, 4 horizontal lines. If today is Monday, what will it be in 9 days' time? Well, a really good trick for this is to first off go in 7s. So to go from one Monday to the next Monday is going to be plus 7 days. So just take 7 days off, and we're still at Monday, and then to go from 7 to 9, that's an additional 2 days, so all I've got to do is go from Monday for 2 more days. I can just do that on my fingers. We're on Monday, so we're going to go Monday. Tuesday is 1 more, Wednesday is another, and that's the 2 added on, so Wednesday is our answer. But my advice would be to do it in jumps of 7 to start with, going from the same day to the same day, and then finish off the rest. And then worst case, you're only going to be adding sort of 6 on, the most complicated. Right, on to the next page. Write as a decimal 1/2, well, that's 0.5. What's the missing number? Well, we're going down in 25, so that's 975. Which of these numbers are prime? Well, prime means non-divisible or only divisible by 2 numbers. Well, that's divisible by 2 and 5, so that doesn't work. That's divisible by 2 and 3 and 6. That one's divisible by 2, so the only prime numbers that I can see are 17 and 23, because they can only be divided by 1 and themselves, and that's what makes a prime number. What's the value of the 8 in 1800? And so, well, that's the important bit, 1823, but the answer is 800. It's an 800. How many hours are between midnight on Monday and midday on Tuesday? Oh, this is a fun one. For these time ones, actually also if you have any date questions, I recommend doing it in stages. So we are at midnight on Monday, so that means we've then got to get to the next day, and actually, well, it's going to be 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock, 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock, 7 o'clock on that Monday night. It's going to be sort of really Tuesday, the next day. So we've only got to go a little bit more, so I think actually to get to midday on Tuesday is just going to be an additional 12 hours. If it was slightly larger, let's say it was, midday on Monday to midnight on Tuesday, I might do it in jumps, but actually that one wasn't too bad. So from Monday, midnight, it's going to be all night time, then a bit of the morning, and then you're at midday. So that's 12 hours away. That's normally the bit where people are probably going to sleep, so I'm not sure how many people are around at midnight, but I'm sure some people are. Milk is stored in crates of 12 cartons. How many cartons are in 9 crates? Oh, well, that's going to be 12 times 9. And luckily I know my 12 times 9 times tables. If you're not sure though, a good one to do is your 10 times tables. So 10 times 9 is 90. And I've only got to add a couple more 9s on. I've only got to add 2 more 9s, which is 18. So 90 plus 18 is 108. And that's not a bad way of doing it. If you've got these large times tables you're not comfy with, go to the 5 times tables or 10 times tables, which tend to be found a bit easier, and then add or subtract to get to where you need to get to. It's a bit quicker than starting right from the very beginning. The factors of 24. Now when I'm doing factors, I always like to write them in pairs. So you've got 1 and 24. Then I'm going to check the next number after 1. We've got 2 works, so we've got 2 and 12. Then we'll check the next number up again. 3, 3 and 8, that would work. Keep going, then after 3 we've got to check 4. Would 4 go into 24? It would, that's going to be 4 and 6. And then 5 doesn't go in, and the next number to check after 5 would be 6, and we've already done it. So by doing it in pairs and by checking in order, so checking 1, then 2, then 3, then 4, then 5, once you get to the number you've already used, like 6, I now don't have to check anymore because I know I've done them all. But that only happens if you do them in order. The other way of doing this I think is really important is a factor bug. So I'm just going to just draw one of these out. So you draw a little 24, and the factor bug, the rule is you've got to start with 1, and you do the pairs of legs at the same sign. So I'd be doing 1 and 24. Then I check, does 2 go in? It does, so 2 and 12. Then does 3 go in? Yes it does, that's going to be 3 and 8. Does 4 go in? Yes it does, that's 4 and 6. And then 5 doesn't go in, and then 6 is the next number. And can you see how we've crossed over to the other side? So as soon as we cross over to the other side of this factor bug's legs, we stop, because that means we know we've done everything. So those factor bugs are a nice little way of just setting it out. It's the same process, really, but just perhaps a bit more visually clear. So if you prefer drawing a factor bug, that's absolutely fine. Number 8, well, 10 plus 12 is going to be 22, and 22 plus something gets us to 33. Well, that plus something is going to be an 11. 4.5 is equal to 4 plus, well, I think you could write the decimal 0.5, or you could write the fraction 1/2, and both of those would be correct, so I don't mind which of those you put down. 4 plus a half, or 4 plus a half, it's kind of the same thing, written in different ways. A half take away a quarter, well if you visualise that, you've got a half of a cake and you take away a quarter of a cake, you're actually left with a quarter of a cake. So I think you could do that visually. The other way to do it is to think about a half in terms of quarters. So 1/2 would actually be 2 quarters. And then if you did 2 of something, take away 1 of something, you're left with 1 of something. So having 2 quarters, take away 1 quarter, leaves you with 1 of those quarters. That's another way of thinking about it if you don't like the visual approach. What are the factors of 27? Okay, well, we love our factors. I'm going to do a factor bug, so let me just make myself some room up here where I can put it. Let's squeeze that book down here. We know which book we're using. It's the same one as before. So there's my 27. So I'm going to do 1 and 27. 2 doesn't go in, but 3 I think does. It's going to be 3 and 9. 4 doesn't go in. 5 doesn't go in. 6 doesn't go in. 7, we've already said. Oh, I haven't already said that was 9, sorry. 7 doesn't go in. 8 doesn't go in. And 9 doesn't go in. So actually at that point, I think we're done. Because we've crossed over to the other side and we're checking against 9 now. So I think that my answers are, and I always make sure you do these with commas. So we got 1, 3, 9, and 27. And that's my answer. On then to number 12, is 39 times 5 more than 190? Well, to do this, we've got to do 39 times 5. A few ways of doing it. You could do 40 times 5, which would be 200, and then take away 5 because you've got one lot of 5 less, which is 195. You could do 30 times 5 and 9 times 5 and add them together, or you could use some sort of column multiplication method, but the answer is 195, and the answer is yes, because 195 is greater than 190. And remember, the rule with this is, if you imagine this as like a little crocodile, it should always be trying to eat the biggest number. So if you look here, there's the little mouth, and it's eating this one on the left, so it is doing it correctly. 13. The bus should have left at 10 minutes past 3, but was 15 minutes late. When did it leave? So it should have left at 10 minutes past 3. So it was late, so we need to add 15 minutes on. So I think that's going to be 25 minutes past 3, or 3:25. And that's how I would leave my answer. What are the values of A and B? So I think this is assuming it's another one of these grids. So looking at that middle row, we can see you've got 10 plus 8, which is 18, plus 6, which is 24. So I'm guessing these add up to 24. I might just check it by going across. 10, 9, and 5 is also 24. Yep, so it's another one of those magic squares. So now on this one, if we know we need to add 24, this B here, 11 plus 9 is 20, so B must be equal to 4. And then going across the top here, I can see that I've got 11 plus 6 is 17. So 17 to get to 20 is 3. So 7, I think, is what we're missing. But let's just check going in this direction. Is 12 plus 7 plus 5? Yeah, that is also 24, so I'm pretty confident that A is 7. That's the nice thing about these questions. You can check them in a couple of different directions and make sure they're sort of still working. And actually here, if you look, this horizontal 12 plus 8 is a nice easy 20, which makes it way easier to spot the 24. So sometimes different directions will be easier. Number 15, are the angles inside a rectangle acute, right angles or obtuse? Well, if we draw ourselves a rectangle, again, much like the square from before, these are also right angles in the corner, and they will always be right angles. It's not possible for them to not be. On then to test 22. So what divided by 8 equals 10? 80 divided by 8 equals 10. Big mess here. 16 times 3 is 18. Got to do that first. 3 times 5 is 15. Got to do that first. And then we can add the two together, and that equals 33. Whether you decide to do 10 plus 10 and 8 plus 5 and add it all together, or write it out as a column addition, both will work. What is the sum of 18, 36, and 27? Important that you know here that sum means add. And as soon as you know that, I think this becomes quite an easy question, because you can obviously just add these all together, and the answer is 81. What's the next number? Well, we're going down in the hundreds, so I think it's going to be 950. What is the value of this number? Okay, well for this one, it looks to me as though this one is your 3000. Because between here and here is a gap of 5, and here is a gap of 10, and we're one tick or one space under, so I think that's 2,999. 2999. 6. Olive has to share equally her box of 48 chocolates with her 2 brothers. Well, that's very nice of her. How many does she get? Well, if they're sharing it equally, here's the trick. How many people are they sharing it between? They're not just sharing it between 2, so we can't do 48 divided by 2, because it's her and her 2 brothers. So I think the answer, or the solution to figure out what's going on with this question, is to realise we're actually doing 48 divided by 3, not by 2, and that's because she needs to get a share as well. And if you do 48 divided by 3, you get 16, and that's the easiest way to think about it. So hopefully that makes sense, that it's not just her 2 brothers that are getting the chocolates, it's her and her 2 brothers. So there's 3 people in total, hence why we're dividing it by 3. Write down 4 numbers that have 2 as a factor. Well, this is actually a nice easy question because any even number will have 2 as a factor. So you can pick any numbers you want as long as it's even. So I'm going to pick 2, 10, 1004 just for fun, and 8. But literally any even number will work, and that's totally allowed. Making sure they're separated by commas so you can clearly see which one, that they are different numbers. There's nothing worse than having a big long list of numbers and then it looks like just one big number because you're not sure. Number 8, 1 take away 0.9 is 0.1. 2.5 is just how many quarters? Well, every one whole would be 4 quarters. So we have 2 wholes, so that's going to be 8 quarters. And we've already got a quarter there, so in total I make that 9 quarters. And so therefore the answer is 9, because it only wants to know what the question mark is. A half plus a half equals 1, so 0.5 plus 0.5 also equals 1, because it's the same question. Number 11. If today is Friday, what will it be in 2 weeks' time? Well, in 1 week's time it will be Friday, and in another week's time it will be Friday again. So the answer is still Friday. It's quite a nice question, that one. 15 equals 15 times what? Or what times 15? Well, 1 times 15. 1 lot of 15 is equal to 15. Add the even numbers. Well, those are the even numbers, so 62 is the answer. Another magic square, so again, we've just got to add up. I'm going to go across that middle row, so 4 plus 9 plus 14 equals 27. So we now know what this adds up to. There's no point using this one because we don't know, but if we go up here, I can see I've got 16 because 12 plus 4 is 16, and if I do 27 minus 16, the difference between that is 11, so I know A is going to be 11. And if I do 9 plus 8, I know 9 plus 8 is going to be 17, so what I'm missing from 17 and 27 is the 10. And now if I go across this row, I can just check my answers. Does 11 plus 10 plus 6 also make 27? Yes, it does. You wouldn't need to do that final thing, but it's just not always nice to know how to check if you can, and the magic square questions are particularly good for being checked very easily. Now this one is not the kind of question where you need to be working this out. At no point am I going to do 99 times 21. Instead, I'm going to realise that having 99 lots of 21, or a better way of saying it might be actually 21 lots of 99, it's the same as having 20 of them and 1 of them. It's going to give you the same answer. It would be very complicated to work this out. That's going to be a very large number, that's going to be a very large number, and you're subtracting them all. That's not how you do this question. It's just about thinking that having 21 of something is the same as having 20 of it and 1 of it. So it's a bit more of an understanding question number 15 than actually having to work it out. So hopefully that makes sense to you all. Right guys, we're now moving on to the summer times work times tables, and for these I've actually got the answers up on the screen because it's nice and fast with these. So just making sure we've got 32, 6, 20 and 30. We've got 7, 11, 12 and 9. And then these are reversed, so what times 6 equals 12, so it's going to be 2, 4, 4 and 50. For these ones here, again, what is 90 divided by 10? That's 9. 7 camels, each had 4 presents, so that's 7 times 4, which gives us 28. And for the last one, because it's a 2 marker, I will just go through this one with you. So Nick has scored 12 points on each of 6 levels. So that's going to be 12 times 6. He needs 82 points to win. How many more does he need? Well, we've got to work out first off what 12 times 6 is. That's 72. And again, if you're not sure, you could do 10 times 6, which is 60, and add a pair of 6s on. So that's going to be 60 plus 12, which is also 72. It's a good way of doing it if you're not sure about your 12 times tables. But obviously, if you can learn your 12 times tables, please do. So 12 times 6 is 72, and he needs 82. So the actual answer is 10 more. And that's because I can see right off the bat, we need to add 10 to get from here to here. Hopefully that's nice and clear. Nadia is writing invitations to a party. The invitations come in packs of 10. She invited 31 people and then decided to invite another 19. So first off, how many people does she invite? Well, 31 plus 19 is quite nice because that adds up to 50 very easily. The 1 and the 9 I can add up in my head quite clearly. So that's 50 people. So that means she's going to need 50 lots of invitations, and they come in 10s. So divide that by 10, and we're going to find out that she needs 5 packs. It's 2 marks again, but you'll get 1 for working out. I think if you've written the 50 down somewhere, you'll get 1 mark, and of course if you write the 5 down, you'll get both marks for that one. Give yourself a score, and also guys, if you are timing yourself, please write down a time. It's quite good to see how fast you're getting with these ones. On to the puzzle, we've got Bill and Ben. Bill has a £5 note. How much change would he get if he gets 2 pineapples, 4 bananas and 2 peaches? Well, 2 pineapples is £2, because it's 2 £1. 4 bananas is going to be 4 times 40p, which is going to be £1.60. And 2 peaches is going to be plus £1.20. So if we add all of these together, we're going to get a total of £4.80. But remember, that's not the actual answer, that's what he spent. How much change would he get is going to be the difference between the £5 and the £4.80, which is a nice 20p. Now, I don't mind if you write that as 20p, or pound sign 0.20, whichever you find easier is totally good. Ben has a £20 note. How much change did he get? He gets 6 watermelons, 12 bananas, and 10 peaches. Right, let's work them out. So 6 watermelons is going to be £1.20 times 6. That's a little bit harder. So that's going to be £7.20. 12 bananas is going to be 40p times 12, which is going to be £4.80. And I like times it by 10 because that's just going to be £6. Nice and easy because 60p times 10, which is going to be £6. And now I've got all of these, of course, we can add them up. So I might do it in my head, I might do the £4.80 and the £6 is £10.80. And then the 80 plus the 20p is going to be £11. And £11 plus the £7 is going to be £18. So I make that a total of £18 that he spent. But of course, we don't remember that's not the actual question, it's what's the change. And £20 minus £18 would leave £2. So my actual answer is going to be that he gets £2 change, because I can see the difference between the £20 and the £18 is £2. Hopefully that makes sense. Remember, if you're not that confident with your decimals, you can always turn these into pennies first and do it that way. So it would be totally fine, for example, to have 200 and 160 and 120 equals 480 and have an answer in pennies. 720, 480 and 600 equals 1800, and instead of £20 it would be 2,000 pennies. And so just doing it as whatever's easiest for you is totally fine. Again, on to the next page, we're going to whiz through these. So just into the answers, we've got 18, 44, 63 and 24. We've got 1, 8, 1 and 10. I've written these ones in already, so we've got 9, 7, 27 and 2. And just watch out, because over here, look, it is swapping from being a multiplication to a divide. So just double check to make sure you're not getting caught out by that. It's always a bit sneaky within question 3 when they swap halfway through from timesing to dividing. Don't let that be you that gets caught out. 4 multiplied by 9 is 36. Mel can make a sandwich in 2 minutes. So in 14 minutes, she can make 7 sandwiches, because she needs to do 14 divided by 2 to work out the amount of sandwiches made. A group of bugs is putting together 10 bookcases. Each bookcase needs 11 bolts, so 10 times 11 is the total number they need, so they're going to need 110 bolts in total. They have 95. How many more do they need? Well, the difference between 110 and 95 is 15, so they need 15 more. Leo wants to buy a bike that costs £105. He saves £9 every month for 8 months, so that's going to be 9 times 8, which is £72. So he's saved up already £72. And again, I think that would give you 1 mark already if you just got that far. But how much does he need? Well, he needs the difference. And the difference in maths is always a subtraction, so we take those 2 away. We do 105, subtract 72, we end up with 33. And so I think that's going to be the answer. He needs £33, which at the current rate would take him another 4 months of saving, but it didn't even ask that, it just wants to know how much. Again, guys, fill in the score and write yourself down a time. For the puzzle, you need to realise the key, so each of the pictures is 9, so we know, for example, Monday it's going to be 4 lots of 9, Tuesday 1 lot of 9, and Wednesday 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 lots of 9. So how many did he plant on Monday? Well, that's going to be 4 times 9, which is 36. How many fewer flowers did he plant on Tuesday than Monday? Well, that one was 36. And that one was 9, so the difference between them is going to be 27 because we take them away. And how many more flowers did Ron plant on Wednesday than Tuesday? Well, 8 times 9 is 72, so he planted 72 flowers on Wednesday, and the difference is 72 minus 9, which is 63. So I think he planted 63 fewer flowers. Wednesday was obviously a good day for planting. Well done. Right, on to the next page. Again, we're going to whiz through these really fast. So we've got 99, 21, 15 and 21. Then we're doing division here, watch out for that. So 47 divided by 7 is 7. We've got 6. We've got 10. We've got 8. And then we've got to, again, to think, I've said 12 times what is 84? Well, times 7 times by 3. And these are the divisions. So what divided by 7 is 10. So it's 70 divided by 10. And 22 divided by 11 equals 2. So 70 and 22 for these last ones. What is 36 divided by 3? Well, that's 12. Omar owns 8 comics. His friend owns 11 times as many, so that's going to be 8 times 11, which is of course 88. That's 12, we can write that in. This year, Nina's going on holiday for 4 weeks. Last year, she was on holiday for 22 days. How much longer is she on holiday? Well, I like that question. So 4 weeks is going to be 4 times 7. We always assume a week is 7 days. So that means last time she was on holiday for 28 days. What an amazing holiday. This time she's on holiday for 22 days. So we've got to do the difference between the two. And that's a difference of 6. So 6 days. On to the last page. We've got 2 more questions, or we've got 1 question in the puzzle. Jasmine pays £3 to go swimming. She goes swimming twice a week. How much will she pay over a period of 3 weeks? So each time is £3. So that means in a week she's going to be paying 2 lots of that. So in every week I would say she's going to be spending £6 on her 2 trips. And if she's spending £6 a week and she goes for 7 weeks, that's going to be 7 times 6, which is a grand total of £42. And that's my answer. Puzzle, put a hat in it. Oh, I like this one already. In a hat shop, each box of hats is 11. On day 1, they sold 3 boxes. On day 2, they sold 12 boxes. On day 3, they sold 8 boxes. So they're selling lots of them. How many more hats did they sell on day 2 than day 3? Use the space below as well as the boxes to show you're working. Well, first things first. On day 2, they sold 12 boxes of 11. So that's 12 times 11, so 132 hats. Then on day 3, they sold 8 boxes of 11. So 8 times 11 is 88. Ooh, my 8 looks a bit strange. There you go, 88. And I think what we're supposed to do is to use this column subtraction to do 132 take away 88 to give us our answer. We can't do 2 take away 8, so we borrow from the 3, making that a 12. 12 take away 8 we can do, which is 4. This is a 20, we can't do 20 take away 80, so now we're going to borrow from the 100. Oh, excuse me, was that the wrong thing? Borrow from the 100, making that 120. We can do 120 take away 80, because that gives us 40. And there's nothing left, so the difference is 44 hats. How many hats do they sell in total? Okay, well we need to know how many they did on day 1. 3 boxes of hats, that's going to be 3 times 11, which is 33. So I think we can just add these up. So I'm going to do 33, 88, and 132. Doesn't actually matter what order these are, but I tend to like them biggest at the top. 2 plus 8 is 10, plus 1 is 13, so carry the 1, write the 3. 3 plus 3 is 6. 6 plus 8 is going to be 14, but don't forget you can do plus the 1, so that's 15. And we've got the 1 and the 1 is 2. So 253 is my answer in total, which is pretty good going. Right everyone, that's the end of the video. Well done. Thank you so much for your time and attention. I hope that was useful, and we'll see you all for more next week. Bye bye for now.